Hi everyone, Dr. O here. Today we gonna talk about the principle of economics. Last time I just introduced general idea of what is economics and what we are going to do during this semester. This time we are thinking a little bit more about principles of economics. When we study about economics in the first place, we start with the macroeconomics or microeconomics in general. So either way, we can start with one topic or another. We are on the introduction of microeconomics, so we are going to talk about micro more. But general principle generally applied to the economics is today's topic. Well, some of you already know there is a lot of, coverage of economics. So generally we are talking about scope of economics. What is the coverage of economics? Economics itself is a social science. So, general communities, we call the economy the coverage of, or, the scope is the economy itself. Something happened in the economy, economist, or under the economics, we are talking about, thinking about, analyzing about that. So, what is the coverage of it is one of the topic or one of the thing we need to think about during this time. And also, principles. What kind of principles is in economics? And we generally or general economists agree about what is the principles of economics. That's, today's what we are going to discuss. Let's get into it. First of all, let me introduce the learning objective of today. Today, we're briefly talking about the scope of economics. I already mentioned a little bit about scope of it. So economics itself can be covered, daily life of our general people in the community, and specifically economy we should call. Economy can be the small community or family or country level or worldwide level, how we can make economic decision making process, which is in specific cases in economics, consumption, production, distribution, those things. But in general or broadly, we are considering general life decision making process itself is covered by economics. In the perspective, scope of economics is very wide. In the sense of earlier, words that consumption, production, distribution, then economic activity is a very small portion of it. But in the small detail of behind the scene of that decision-making process of consumption, production, distribution, there's a lot of other things that are, already covered. And that coverage or scope is really wide as the decision-making process perspective. So scope of economics can be wide or very narrowed depending on the situation or topic or what we are interested in. So that can be covered a little bit today too. And next one is, as the topic says, principles of economics. There's a lot of other economists to approach to the principle of economics. There is a various positions or visions of it. But let me introduce very briefly. I introduced two principles and adding one more later, but I want to empathize with two principles, which is optimization and equilibrium. And then later I'll introduce empirics. Nowadays, the focus of empirics is getting, wide and deeper, and importance is getting higher and higher. But the first two, as an economics perspective, optimization and equilibrium is a really important concept and principle we want to empathize today. And then, that can be called the first and second and third principle of as it is goes. And additional time, we meet at the Zoom meeting and we discuss and question and answer and debate a little bit about what is the concept of it, a little bit deeper concept or behind the scene of each one of a principle later. As I told you, principle itself can be buried as a textbook as an economist. One of the famous textbook, Menkes textbook is 10 principle, 11 principle. There's a lot of principles can be listed one by one. We are not just ignore them at once, but we little bit approach one by one later. But I empathize the simple 3 principles today and easy to memorize. And you don't need to memorize at this point, but you will just think about it, and then later you just keep remind that 3 simple principle, and you just engrave in your brain. So it's easy and more important in that presentation. That's why I prefer to 3 principle at this point. And very last moment we are a little bit covering about what is economics for you? What can we, do? What can we take advantage of economics? And by learning process, what can we learn from the economics? That's how we apply economics in daily life, and what is good for us. That is the last topic we are going to talk about today. Now I want to mention a little bit about ideas about today's topic. So let me rephrase it. Key idea of this lecture. First one, the definition or understanding of economics. Economics is the study of people's choice, branch of social science. So humans' actions or responses from each other or among them. That is a really important part of economics. But we need to remember that economics itself is study of people's choices. So every person made a choice, decision under the sense of certain circumstance, certain environment. So economics itself, we are going to talk about and think about the choices. Human beings' choices, our member of community, each one of them, how they make a choice under their life, under certain situation. So that is all about economics. What is economics? We are analyzing people's choices. Key idea of it is economic itself, understanding of a little bit more about economics by learning these 3 principles today. The second key idea is the first principle. First principle, optimization. What is optimization? People generally optimize under the certain circumstance all the time. It is backed up by the idea of every single individual is rational. So if we are rational, reasonable, then when we make a choice, we are really optimizing under the circumstance. So we have lots of limitation of it. That's originally choices comes from. Think about this way. Like we live a life forever. Should we work right now? Should we spend so much time to study things and learning something at this point right now? The time is valuable. One of the reasons is time itself is limited. In other words, scarce. So the word scarcity comes from these limited resources as a time-wise, as income-wise, as resources-wise. So every single economy can be anything, as I told you, community, family, or country, regional area, right? So the city of Seoul itself, or more bigger province, like a Gyeonggi-do, 경상남도, 경상북도, like that. It can be defined as economy. The size doesn't matter. How we can looking at the, separate it as a scope or area of economy, that is another thing. But once we determine whatever economy itself, we are come up with scarcity issue, limited resources, time-wise, or just a resource or raw material-wise. Because of that, we need to make better decision, efficient decision all the time. Scarcity is the reason we need to make a better choice. A better choice means that, or ultimate level, optimize. Take a good advantage of. Think really hard to make the best solution, the best decision. That's optimization. Every single economic agent we're calling, consumer producer or government, whatever, that is, optimization. So first principle is optimization, right? The first principle of economics is that people try to optimize. They think really hard to make better or the best solution or decision. So there is a lot of options, but limited options because limited resources. In other words, scarcity. Because of scarcity, we make a better decision, best decision. In other words, optimization. The first principle, optimization. What is the second one? Second principle is equilibrium. What is equilibrium? Let's think about it. This a little bit more as time goes by. But let me define at this point, equilibrium is a situation in which nobody would benefit by changing his or her own behavior or choices. So here's the thing. At this point, we are at the equilibrium. If so, there is nobody has incentive to move out of that point, out of that situation. Once we get into the equilibrium, there is no incentive to move out. That is defined as equilibrium. Equilibrium is a situation like that. So second principle of economics is equilibrium. Every single economist that think about what is the equilibrium condition? Where is the equilibrium? How can I find equilibrium? What is the condition of it? That is very fundamental question have in their mind. So in general, every single economic agent, whatever player of game, try to optimize, their behavior to make a better decision. And second, get together and interactions among them, and we try to find out where is the equilibrium. There is no incentive to move out. The situation, we want to find out that there is no incentive to move out that situation, from that situation. So that is the equilibrium. On top of that, I want to emphasize two principles I already mentioned, optimization and equilibrium. The words itself is a little bit hard and concept-wise very abstract, but as we study more and more, we learned more about, more characteristic about, more things about these two principles. And third one is empirics. Well, as I think, first two is more important than third one, but third one have more attentions and having a higher importance at this point. As time goes by, even more, I believe. Why? Nowadays, it's been a while to think about, or we mention about big data. Now, big data era. Big data, technically it is considered that more than 1 terabyte of information accumulated. So 1 terabyte is not easy to store in general in old days. But nowadays, computing power is increases and the way of sorting the data or information is better and better. Technology improved. So, the big data era is right now, and the data itself is accumulating, more and more right now. But the most important part of it is, under the economics, we're making a model to explain or analyzing and think about what is the economics about, and try to explain how or why each one of the economic individual, economic agent behaving like that way can be made and it can be explained. Some economists think this way and logically and very plausible about what they're saying. But that is only theory. It is not proven. And somebody say, you think that way, I don't think that way. Even though majority said is plausible, but there is a caveat to attack. In this situation, your theory doesn't work. And even though I'm following your condition or assumption, I don't believe so. How can you prove it? Last time we discussed this issue a little bit about it. It is really hard to prove it in social science perspective. Why? Human beings itself is not easy to experiment. Nowadays, psychology on top of economics and behavior economics is very popular, and we do a lot of experiment. But when we discuss about macroeconomic policy, micro policies, government policies, tax regime, tax schedule changes, all those things cannot be easily experimented and say that, this way is better than the other. There is another way to deal with this. And there is a lot of political issues and argument, debate is going under that situation. It is not easy. But how we can do it? Experimentation is not easy to deal with. Then we are trying to do with some data. Internationally, data is accumulating very quickly. And some government to try this way and that way under the certain situation, the result turns out certain direction. Then we can borrow that, history to apply or to make a better choice under, economic policies. So data itself is very valuable asset for us, especially, social science perspective, economics perspective. So empirics is dealing with the data and try to apply in the economics, principle, economics topic. So that's a third principle, empirics. Well, you are studying more and more about economics, and then next step is dealing with the statistic technique to apply, economics, which is econometrics we're calling, and you definitely learn that. And building up that skill set in later part, we can do some data science work too. So the importance is getting higher as the third principle of economics, empirics. But at this point, a theoretical perspective, we need to understand the first two principles first. So now let's move on to the next, a little bit deeper, or thinking about one by one I introduced as a key idea. First one, we need to think about the scope of economics, right? The scope, the range, the coverage of economics. Economics itself is a study of people's choices. In other words, human behavior. Some people make a decision under certain situations. Why do they do that? How do they make that decision? Why do we make a decision like this? So, one thing is choice, decision. So, in other words, a simple word, a choice. We are studying about a choice. In my experience, I keep asking the student about the economics. Even though they don't have any knowledge or pre-study of economics, I keep asking about them. I don't want the definition of economics, but once you hear the economics, then what do you think about it? Or what is the simple word describing economics the most? And I keep asking about the student about it. So the first answer, and majority of them are saying money. Well, economic definition of money is way different from what you're thinking. We're saying money as all over the place, but we are using specific words for certain situation. So I need money, right? Money is what? Oh, maybe credit card? Maybe paper money? Like $10,000? $100,000? 100,000 won? What is the money? Well, money is a medium of exchange, right? In the economics, we believe that the property or characteristic of money is like that, medium of exchange. We want to trade one goods to another, or I have some assets and try to trade with others because I want something else. Under that trade process, to expedite that trade process, we need the money, because that is a medium or tool of transactions. But in general, we are saying money as price, right? Money value. So what is the price of, cell phone? What is the price of computer? How much money do I need? Yeah, that's a price. In other words, money is, judgment of values, right? So certain amount of dollars for a certain product or certain service, we can think of it. So money is everywhere. So people believe that, economics itself sounds like a study of money. But we are not study of the money. The fundamental of it is make a decision, a choice. Well, other words, we are saying money, but how much money do you make per hour or per week, per month? That is what? Income or salary, right? In other words, labor income. You work and earn a money, that is labor income. You invest the money and then earning it, capital income. So income as the money, price as the money. So all over the place. So we are keep thinking about the money as the study, economics is a study of the money. No, we are study more about a choice, behavior, analyzing of it. That's economics, not the study of money. Money itself is a little bit differently dealt in economics. We are going to learn about money in macro part of economics. But this, we need to keep in mind, we are study about a choice, people's choices, decision-making process, why and how it is happening, and how we can manipulate it or give them an incentive to do better choice, or as an individual perspective, what we can make better choices all the time, how we can make the best choice in general. So that's the economics all about. So choice is more important than in general you are saying, money itself. I already mentioned about economic agent. Economic agent is a kind of player we are considering about. So somebody who have a role, some individual who make a choice, we are saying economic agent. So in the sense of game, we are making a choice under the game situation. Like that, it turns out the game situation, that player itself is economic agent. Every day we play a game or we live a life. In other words, play a game to make a choice, better choice, the best choice. So in that perspective, we are economic agent. What kind of choice are we making in daily basis? Should we buy this or sell this? In general, not sell this part, but buy a things part, right? As a consumer. Consumer is one of the economic agent. And the seller or, producer What type of product should we produce? What kind of service we are going to provide? Those things is, another part of economics, which is a producer or seller, buyer, consumer. So any group or any individual make choices. Economic choices can be said as an economic agent. So consumer, producer, government, somebody who is playing this game. So economic decision-making process. Involving in this process we are calling economic agent. So those things are, we are covering under economics. The topic itself is getting focused on the certain things. We can make, economic behavior, economic choices. Very briefly, we can categorize or focusing on consumption, production, right? And in that perspective, we can define as economic agent, and then we try to analyze with that. Well, in very wide perspective of economics, we are covered about transaction of genders. Can we marry? Can I marry with her? Or her perspective, can I marry to him? That decision doesn't look like economic decision because it is not covered by consumption or productions. But under the principle of make a better choice, it's a very important choice in your life. I don't know you disagree with it, but marriage itself has very impact on your life. So under that perspective, need very reasonable choice to make the best decision. Under that perspective, it is coverage of economics. Individual player, male and female groups, those things. So scope of economics is very specific under the sense of we are studying consumption, production, distribution perspective. In other cases, everyday life, we make a decision. Why we make a decision? Because of scarcity, limited resources, restriction, constraint. Those things are happening in daily life. We have a limit. Money-wise, income-wise, length of life-wise, right? So those scarcity force us to make a decision, a choice under some limited resources. So simple question you can ask right now is, what area of our life is not covered by economics? Is there anything it is not covered by economics? Well, easily we can find the question of, social science part or natural science part. Especially social science part, majority of them can be covered and can be analyzed with economic principles and, economics of coverage. But natural science, it is really hard to tell or not covered by economics. Except that natural science part, if it is belonging to social activity, it is really hard to find out some question or some problem, some issues, which is not involving the sense of or the coverage or the scope of economics. Think about it, and if you find a really good answer for which area, doesn't involving in the economics coverage. So as I discussed, the main issue with we forced to make a better decision is scarcity, limited resources, right? I explained a little bit about it. And what does that mean? Something is scarce. So whatever perspective we have, scarce resources are meaning that People wants are not enough. Our wants are unlimited, but resources are limited. We want to live forever, but our life, death, we don't know. But definitely we are dying. We don't know when, but we know that we're dying. So those things, life is limited, resources are limited, time is limited. Because of that, our income is limited. Even though I'm not working right now, but our remaining life, we can come up with earning the money and pay back to my tuitions. So student loan, using the student loan, borrowing the money, put in my education, and sooner or later I start to work and earning the salaries or incomes and then pay back on it. So those things are, timely choices, but limited resources, because lifetime is scarce. Time itself, or even though whatever I have right now, even though I'm from saying, super rich family, but it doesn't mean that you own the world. Even though you own the earth and all of the resources are yours, well, in your lifetime, maybe you want to buy anything you want, but beyond your imagination. You cannot buy moon, sun, galaxies. You cannot. So under that perspective, even though you are super rich, you don't own everything under certain perspective. So scarcity forces us to make a decision, efficient decision, better decision, the best decision all the time. So economics, we're thinking about it. How economic agent to make a reasonable decision, efficient decision, best decision all the time, under the sense of scarce resources and time. And then we're thinking about a little bit later about the interactions. One, economic agent decision affect to others, and some policies affect to the general public or the consumers and the producer, and how it is turns out as a consequence in market. So first thing, we are learning about the concept of scarcity and why scarcity gives us the reason why we make a decision, and we are thinking about this. Now we are going to think about the category of economics. Economics itself is a social science. We come up with these two categories all the time. One, positive. Second, normative. Well, positive opposite is negative we're thinking of, but that is not the concept of positive here. Positive versus normative economics. Positive is just as it is. We're saying the fact. We know the positive economics all the time, detecting what is the fact about this. Stating about the simple statement. Compared to that, normative economics is we are making a statement about should be, and you give an opinion about certain situation. So let's say I bring 120 chocolate pieces to the class, and I didn't say you can take whatever you want, but let's share with our classmates or our student. And what should we do? We're thinking about, so somebody really loved the chocolate and I want to consume it after class 2, take 10 of it. Let's say 130, 150. If it is abundant, more than number of the student, we can take more than just one. But evenly distributed, the fact itself is we have 120 chocolate and 120 student here. How people feels and how they will take. In general cases, under the experiment, they will take one by one. People just accept that, one is their, portion. But why? I didn't say anything. Original property right is coming out from me, and I just want to distribute it. I didn't say any limitation on it. Now, in the positive statement, positive economics perspective. Some people took more than one, and then not everyone get one a piece, right? That is a positive statement. Once somebody take more than one, some of them cannot enjoy the chocolate piece, the fact. So that is a statement, a positive economics. Normative economics, we give a strong statement about it or opinion about it. Each student take just one, so that everyone can take at least one, can enjoy at least one. Yeah, there is a huge statement. Each student should take a piece, one piece only. Those kind of statement is a normative economics. Well, in general, two types of economics exist all the time. We just using as the fact and using a data to analyze the situation and answering the economic questions, and giving some opinion about from the economist. So under this situation, we should raise the interest rate. We should. Then that is normative statement. Nowadays, central bank interest rate is issue. So somebody said add should inside of a statement. That is normative economics. You can tell. Now, let's think about the three principles. The first principle is optimization. Optimization is make the best decision or make the best choices under the certain situation, given informations, limited resources. Well, we need to raise the question about this situation as that, well, we believe people optimize all the time, try to optimize it. But under that situation or behind the scene of it, we believe that people are rational. Are we really? Sometimes we made a stupid, decision. Can you make an excuse about it? So, optimization, the principle doesn't hold. What do you think? Well, as we discuss under the certain situation, under the limited resources, under the limited information, then at the certain moment, we optimize it. But we didn't know very fundamental, important information. Then that question, after the information revealed, our decision was not reasonable. Oh, it was not the best solution, best choice. But once we don't know about it, we consider that limited resources, limited information, then we optimize it. Well, there is other discussion going on, right? Yeah, we are drunk and make a stupid mistake, stupid decision all the time. How about that? Well, it happens. But under that mood, under that limited, your options, at that time you're happy. Your optimization as a consumer is maximize your happiness. So to make yourself happy enough to do something. This is, in other words, optimization. Optimize yourself. So there is some other situations we are think of, and some discussion is possible about optimization process. Some people are not rational, irrationality, all those things. Under the sense of behavioral economics, there is experiment, and some people make a decision under that pressure. Pressure itself, information itself, feeling itself can be a factor to make 100% reasonable choice. But that things impact a little bit by a little bit in the sense of limited resources, limited, chance under the circumstance. On average, in general, people make best solution all the time. Under that sense, we believe that on average people are rational. So we admit that people sometimes make a mistake. Don't always succeed in optimizing. But in general, we do. We think hard to make a better choice on consumption. Second principle we are thinking of is equilibrium. Equilibrium is each individual economic agent try to optimize. Those economic agents get together under a certain place and their action and reaction of it, interaction, and outcome is coming out in the certain location or area or place. But the action and reaction is done. We think, what is equilibrium point? Which is a situation that nobody can benefit out of changing their behavior, changing their choices. So that is called equilibrium. We want to find that equilibrium point in the market or in general, situation. So we want to find out it. As economists, first thing we need to focusing on is find out equilibrium. So we need to think a little bit deeper in equilibrium later when we meet at the Zoom meeting. Today, we covered about principle of economics, and I introduced 3 principles of it. First, optimization. Second, equilibrium. Third, empirics. As I told you, first 2 is more important in my point of view, like to study economics itself. Third one, using the economic tools, and we want to verify or analyze and getting an answer from the questions we have, and then we want to prove it. There's a lot of things or critiques is going on of our theory. That's just a theory. Prove it. In general, experimentation is necessary, but in social science perspective, it is really hard to collecting data and to prove under the sense of statistical analysis. That is empirics. And as the time goes by, big data era right now, and data collection is easier than before. So empirics part is getting more attention right now. However, I want to emphasize 2 things, optimization and equilibrium. So today, all students try to understand what is optimization means in your life, and equilibrium, what is the real meaning of it. Think about that, and we meet again in Zoom meeting and discuss a little bit deeper about each one of the simple questions and interesting questions, and applying those principles to solving those or answering those questions later. Okay, this is today's topic about principle of economics. See you later and have a good one. Thank you.